Commander Lisa Wright stood on the bridge of the EDF Horizon, watching the alien ship approach. Her heart beat fast, but her face stayed calm. This was humanity's first contact with aliens. Everyone on the bridge held their breath. "They're requesting permission to dock, Commander," said Officer Paul Miller. Lisa nodded. "Grant permission. Alert the welcome team." The alien ship was beautiful. It gleamed like pearl with smooth curves unlike any human vessel. The Earth Defense Fleet had prepared for this day for years, but no one knew what to expect. Lisa straightened her uniform and walked to the docking bay. 5 other crew members joined her, including Security Chief Ryan Adams and Science Officer Grace Franklin. They all wore their best uniforms and practiced neutral expressions. "Remember," Lisa said quietly, "no sudden movements. Follow first contact protocol." The airlock hissed open. 3 aliens stepped through. They were tall and thin with skin that looked almost see-through. They moved with careful, flowing steps. Each wore what looked like a thin environmental suit with a clear helmet. Lisa stepped forward with a practiced smile. "On behalf of Earth and humanity, welcome to the EDF Horizon. I am Commander Lisa Wright." The lead alien made a graceful gesture. Its voice came through a translator device. "I am Ambassador Valine of the Galactic Confederacy. We greet the people of Earth." The aliens looked around, their large eyes blinking rapidly. Their suits made soft beeping sounds. Ambassador Valine seemed to flinch. "Is something wrong?" Lisa asked. "Your atmosphere," Ambassador Valine said. "Our sensors detect high oxygen levels. And the gravity, it is quite intense." Lisa frowned slightly. Earth's atmosphere and gravity were perfectly normal to her. "Would you prefer we adjust environmental controls?" she offered. "That would be impossible. Your species has evolved in conditions we consider toxic," Ambassador Valine said. "Our suits will protect us." Lisa extended her hand, following human diplomatic custom. "Then let us proceed to our meeting room." Ambassador Valine hesitantly reached out. When their hands met, Lisa gave a gentle shake. The alien gasped and pulled back quickly. "Your strength," Valine exclaimed. "Remarkable." Lisa had barely touched the ambassador. She exchanged glances with her crew. The meeting continued for hours. The aliens seemed both fascinated and disturbed by humans. They kept their distance and jumped at loud noises. When Officer Miller dropped a datapad, all 3 aliens flinched dramatically. After the aliens returned to their ship, Lisa called a private meeting with her senior staff. "Something's off," said Security Chief Adams. "They acted like we're dangerous." Science Officer Franklin nodded. "I noticed their environmental readings. They consider our normal conditions extreme." "Check this out," Communications Officer Beth Rogers said, looking up from her tablet. "I intercepted some transmissions from their ship to their homeworld." "Is that legal?" Lisa asked with a raised eyebrow. "It was sent unencrypted," Beth replied with a slight smile. "They're calling us Space Orcs." "Space what?" Ryan asked. "Orcs. Like the fantasy monsters. Big, strong, scary," Beth explained. "They think we're terrifying." The room fell silent. Then Lieutenant John Phillips started laughing. "Space Orcs. Us?" he said between laughs. "Because we can shake hands and breathe oxygen." Soon, everyone joined in the laughter. The tension of the day broke. "They're afraid of us," Lisa said, shaking her head. "Not because we threatened them, but just because of what we are." "I kind of like it," John said. He pulled out a tablet and sketched something quickly. He turned it around to show everyone a drawing of a human skull with tusks against a background of stars. "Our new unofficial patch." Lisa should have disapproved, but she couldn't help smiling. "Keep it quiet for now," she said. "But I admit, it has a certain charm." As the Galactic Confederacy ship departed the next day, Lisa watched from the bridge. Humans were stepping onto a galactic stage where they were already feared, not for their weapons or aggression, but simply for being human. "Space Orcs," She whispered to herself. If that was how the galaxy saw them, perhaps they could use it to their advantage. 6 months passed since first contact. The EDF Horizon became a regular meeting place between humans and the Galactic Confederacy. Commander Lisa Wright led most diplomatic talks, learning more about the vast community of aliens that humans might someday join. Today was different. Lisa and her team were invited to Proxima Station, a neutral meeting ground where many species gathered. This was their first time leaving Earth's solar system for diplomatic purposes. Remember the rules, Lisa told her team as they prepared to board the shuttle. Wear your official uniforms, follow all protocols, and try not to scare anyone. Lieutenant John Phillips grinned. No showing off our Space Orc strength. Lisa tried to look stern but couldn't help smiling. Especially that. Her team included Science Officer Grace Franklin, Security Chief Ryan Adams, and Medical Officer Kevin Torres. They had all been chosen for their experience and calm temperaments. Proxima Station was enormous. It floated in space like a giant wheel with spokes leading to a central hub. Ships of various alien designs docked at ports around the outer ring. Inside, the station buzzed with activity. Aliens of at least 20 different species moved through wide corridors. Some walked on legs like humans, others slithered or floated. All of them seemed to notice the humans immediately. "They're staring," Ryan whispered. "We're new here," Lisa replied quietly. "Just keep walking." The meeting hall was a large room with a circular table. Representatives from 12 species sat around it, including Ambassador Valine. The humans took their assigned seats, aware of the curious and sometimes fearful glances. A tall, blue-skinned alien rose to speak. "I am Senator Xorian of the High Council. We welcome our human guests to this gathering." Lisa nodded respectfully. "Thank you, Senator. We are honored to be here." The meeting began with discussions about trade, territory boundaries, and cultural exchange. Lisa noticed that many species seemed interested in human military capabilities, but uncomfortable when discussing cultural matters. Halfway through the meeting, something went wrong. Senator Xorian suddenly clutched at his chest and collapsed. His breathing suit made alarming beeping sounds. "His environmental system is failing," someone shouted. The other aliens backed away in panic. Senator Xorian's blue skin began turning gray. Without hesitation, Medical Officer Kevin Torres rushed forward. He knelt beside the fallen senator and quickly assessed the situation. "His air supply is cut off," Kevin said. "He needs oxygen now." The other aliens stood frozen. One of them shouted, "The backup systems will take 5 minutes to activate. He'll die before then." Kevin made a split-second decision. He reached up and unclasped his own protective suit, pulling it open. Lisa realized what he was doing. "Kevin, wait." But it was too late. Kevin had already removed his breathing mask and placed it over Senator Xorian's face. He adjusted settings on the senator's suit, connecting his own oxygen supply. The room fell completely silent. Every alien stared in horror as Kevin worked without protection in what they considered lethal conditions. "He's exposing himself to toxic levels of station atmosphere," one alien whispered. "The radiation alone should kill him," another said. Kevin ignored them, focusing only on saving the senator. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he worked. After 2 tense minutes, Senator Xorian's color improved. His eyes fluttered open. Only then did Kevin sit back, taking a deep breath of the station air that aliens considered deadly to humans. "He'll be okay now," Kevin said, wiping his brow. The emergency was the suit malfunction, not the atmosphere. The aliens stared at Kevin with a mixture of horror and awe. A medical team rushed in to take Senator Xorian to their facility. Ambassador Valine approached Lisa slowly. "Your medic just exposed himself to what our data suggests are lethal conditions for humans." Lisa looked at Kevin with pride. "Our data suggests otherwise." That evening, Lisa discovered that news of the incident had spread across the galaxy. On alien networks, the headline read, "Space Orcs save Senator despite primitive biology." Kevin became an overnight sensation. The story of the human who risked deadly exposure to save a high-ranking official changed how many species viewed humans. So much for keeping a low profile, Lisa said, showing Kevin the news reports. Kevin shrugged. I just did my job. But both knew something had changed. The term Space Orcs was beginning to sound less like an insult and more like respect. 1 month after the incident at Proxima Station, Earth received an official invitation to join the Galactic Confederacy. Commander Lisa Wright and her team gathered in the meeting room of the EDF Horizon to hear the terms. Ambassador Valine stood before them, elegant as always in his environmental suit. The High Council has voted. Earth may join the Confederacy, but with certain conditions. Lisa leaned forward. What conditions? Due to your unique biology, humans will be restricted to specialized roles, Valine explained. Military service, hazardous environment work, and emergency response. These roles suit your remarkable physiology. Lisa frowned. The room grew quiet. Security Chief Ryan Adams spoke first. So we'd be soldiers and emergency workers. Nothing else. Ambassador Valine nodded. It is for the best. Your species is not suited for diplomatic positions or scientific research. You lack the necessary refinement. Lisa stood up slowly. The other aliens in the room tensed. Ambassador, with all respect, we refuse these terms. Humans are more than just strong bodies. We have scientists, artists, and diplomats. We won't accept being treated as nothing but space orcs. Ambassador Valine seemed surprised. You heard that term. We did, Lisa said. And we understand what it means. If you want to see what humans are truly capable of, I propose a challenge. A challenge, Valine repeated. A series of competitions, Lisa explained. Humans against your best representatives. If we prove ourselves worthy of equal standing, we join as full members with no restrictions. The aliens whispered among themselves. Finally, Valine nodded. The Council agrees to your terms. The competitions will begin in 1 week. After the aliens left, Lisa called Major Samantha Reed to her office. Samantha was tall and strong, a former Olympic athlete before joining the EDF. I need you to lead our team, Lisa told her. The future of Earth depends on these competitions. Samantha smiled confidently. What kind of competitions? Everything from physical endurance to problem solving. They're testing if we deserve equal status. We'll show them what humans can do, Samantha promised. 1 week later, representatives from 20 worlds gathered to watch the competitions. The human team wore uniforms with the tusked skull patch that had once been a joke but was now their proud symbol. The first event was an endurance run through varied terrains. The aliens arrived with advanced environmental suits to protect them from what they called harsh conditions. When Samantha and her team arrived wearing only light clothing, the crowd gasped. Where are your protective suits? One official asked. We don't need them, Samantha replied simply. As the race began, aliens and humans ran side by side. But when the course entered an area with higher gravity and thinner air, the aliens slowed. Their suits beeped warnings about dangerous conditions. The humans kept running. 1 by 1, alien competitors stopped to adjust their equipment. Some dropped out entirely. But Samantha and her team pushed forward, breathing the toxic air that was just slightly thinner than Earth's. By the end of the race, Samantha finished first by a wide margin. Her teammate Eric Winters came in second. Only 3 alien competitors even completed the course. The alien crowds watched in shocked silence as Samantha stood at the finish line, sweating but smiling, breathing heavily but unharmed by conditions their sensors labeled as dangerous. The next day brought more competitions. Humans lifted weights that made alien spectators nervous. They solved complex problems under time pressure. They even demonstrated their ability to eat foods that would poison other species. The most shocking moment came when Samantha took off her breathing mask during a swimming competition. The water contained minerals that aliens considered harmful. Samantha swam through it as if it were a normal pool. Videos spread across the galaxy. Alien children watched in fascination as humans ate spicy food, drank beverages containing alcohol, and withstood G-forces that would knock out most species. By the end of the week, the term Space Orcs appeared in official galactic news reports. But now it was said with a tone of respect. Ambassador Valine approached Lisa after the final event. "Your Major Reed has proven her point. Perhaps we underestimated humans." Lisa smiled. "That was just a small demonstration of what we can do." For the first time, she saw something new in the ambassador's eyes. Not fear, but respect. 3 months after the competitions, the EDF Horizon received an urgent message from the Galactic Confederacy. Commander Lisa Wright gathered her senior officers in the command center. "A passenger ship called the Stellar Dawn has been captured by pirates," Lisa explained, pointing to a star map. "Over 200 civilians are hostages." "Why are they contacting us?" asked Security Chief Ryan Adams. "Because no Confederacy forces will attempt rescue," Lisa said. "The ship is held in an asteroid belt with radiation levels they consider lethal." Science Officer Grace Franklin studied the data. "These radiation levels are high, but not immediately deadly for humans. We could survive exposure for several hours without serious harm." Lisa looked around the room. "They've asked for our help specifically. They're calling it a situation that requires Space Orcs." Captain Daniel Kelly, who led the ship's tactical team, smiled slightly. "So they need us because we're tough." "Exactly," Lisa nodded. "I'm assembling a volunteer rescue team. Captain Kelly will lead it." Daniel selected 5 crew members for his team. They trained for 2 days, studying the layout of the passenger ship and the likely locations of hostages. They prepared for combat in high radiation environments. The Galactic Confederacy provided a fast ship to transport them to the asteroid belt. The alien pilot seemed nervous around the humans. "You will wear special protective suits, yes?" the pilot asked. Daniel shook his head. "Standard EDF combat gear will be sufficient." The pilot's eyes widened. "But the radiation?" "We can handle it," Daniel said simply. When they reached the edge of the asteroid belt, Daniel's team boarded a smaller craft that could navigate between the rocks. The alien crew stayed behind, watching through video feeds as the humans entered what they considered a death zone. Inside the belt, Daniel's team moved silently between asteroids. Their small ship's sensors located the Stellar Dawn hidden deep in the belt. "Remember the plan," Daniel told his team. "We have surprise on our side." These pirates have never fought humans before. They docked with the passenger ship at a maintenance hatch. The pirates had not expected anyone to attempt a rescue through an area with such high radiation. As they entered the ship, the team's radiation meters beeped warnings. The levels were uncomfortable, but manageable. 2 hours maximum exposure, reminded Officer Judy Peters, checking her meter. They moved through maintenance tunnels until they reached the ship's security center. Through camera feeds, they saw the pirates, a species called Vraxians with scaly skin and sharp teeth. 20 pirates, over 200 hostages in the main hall, Daniel counted. "Let's use their fear against them." The team split into pairs and began moving through the ship. When they encountered the first pirate guard, Daniel stepped out openly. "Surrender now," he said clearly. The pirates stared in shock. "How are you alive?" "Our sensors show deadly radiation levels in this sector." Daniel shrugged. "We're humans." The pirate dropped his weapon and raised his hands, trembling. Similar scenes played out across the ship. When the pirates realized they faced humans, the infamous Space Orcs who could survive radiation, many surrendered without a fight. One pirate ran through the ship shouting warnings. "Humans are boarding. They're walking through radiation without protection. They can't be stopped." In less than an hour, Daniel's team secured the bridge and released the hostages. The passengers, many from species that had never seen humans before, looked at their rescuers with awe. "You came through the radiation belt to save us?" asked one elderly alien. Officer Judy nodded. It's what humans do. When Confederacy ships finally arrived at the edge of the asteroid belt, they found the stellar dawn already heading toward them, with all passengers safe and the pirates in custody. The news spread quickly. Footage of humans moving through lethal environments to save strangers from other worlds made headlines across the galaxy. At a ceremony 1 week later, the Galactic Confederacy awarded medals to Daniel's team. The medals featured the tusked skull symbol that humans had adopted as their own. The Space Orcs have proven their value today, announced the Confederacy president, not just through their remarkable physiology, but through their courage and compassion. Daniel accepted his medal proudly. Being called Space Orcs no longer felt like an insult. It was becoming a title of honor. 6 months after the rescue of the Stellar Dawn, Earth had become a respected member of the Galactic Confederacy. Humans served on mixed-species crews throughout the galaxy, often in roles that required their unique resilience. Commander Lisa Wright was reviewing reports when an emergency call came in. The planet Centauri Prime, home to over 12 million aliens, faced a deadly crisis. A biological weapon has been released, the alien governor explained, his image flickering on the screen. It spreads through air and water. Our people are dying by the thousands. Lisa leaned forward. How can we help? The pathogen targets specific genetic markers. Your scientists have confirmed that humans are naturally immune. You are our only hope. Within hours, Dr. Nicole Howard, the EDF Horizon's chief medical officer, assembled a team of 20 human medical professionals. They packed supplies and boarded a transport to Centauri Prime. When they arrived, the situation was worse than expected. The streets of the capital city were nearly empty. Those still healthy enough to move wore sealed environmental suits. Our hospitals are overwhelmed, explained a local doctor named Zephyrin. Most of our medical staff are already sick. Nicole studied the data on the pathogen. It attacks your respiratory system, but can't bind to human cells. We can work without the full protective gear your people need. Zephyrin's eyes widened. You would expose yourselves directly. Nicole nodded. It's safer for us to work unencumbered. We need to move quickly. The human medical team set up in the largest hospital. They worked tirelessly, treating the sick with only basic masks rather than full isolation suits. This allowed them to work faster and with greater precision than the local doctors could manage in their bulky protective gear. After 3 days of non-stop work, supplies began running low. The humans needed to develop an antibody treatment, but the lab equipment was struggling to process samples quickly enough. We need more antibodies, Nicole told her team during a brief break. And we need them now. She rolled up her sleeve and prepared a needle. The pathogen can't infect us, but our bodies still produce antibodies against it. We'll donate our own blood to speed up production. The alien medical staff watched in shock as the humans took turns drawing blood from each other. This is barbaric self-mutilation, one alien nurse whispered. This is how we save lives, Nicole replied calmly as she labeled the blood samples. Using the human blood samples, they created an emergency antibody treatment. Nicole and her team worked through another night, moving through quarantine zones that required aliens to wear full environmental protection. A particularly moving moment came when Nicole carried 2 alien children through a contaminated zone. The image was captured by security cameras and shared across the galaxy. A human carrying alien children through an area considered deadly toxic, wearing only a simple mask while the children were wrapped in protective bubbles. By the end of the week, the death rate began to decline. The human antibody treatment worked. Those who received it early enough started to recover. The people of Centauri Prime looked at the humans with new eyes. These Space Orcs had walked through deadly conditions, given their own blood, and worked without rest to save people of another species. Nicole noticed something strange as more patients recovered. Many of the Centauri survivors had painted or tattooed small tusks on their faces. What does this mean? She asked a recovered patient. The alien touched the tusk marks proudly. It is to honor the Space Orcs who saved us. Your kind came when others would not. You gave your blood for us. We wear your symbol to remember." When the crisis finally ended, the human medical team prepared to leave. Thousands of recovered Centauri citizens lined the streets to see them off. Every face bore the tusked marks of respect. As their ship lifted off, Nickel looked down at the crowds below. The term Space Orcs had started as a frightened whisper. Now it was a symbol of hope. "They still call us Space Orcs," she said to her team. "But now they want to be like us." 1 year after humans joined the Galactic Confederacy, a new threat emerged from deep space. The Hive Collective, a species of insect-like aliens, declared war on the Confederacy. They attacked outer colonies first, destroying settlements and taking resources. The Confederacy Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from 50 worlds gathered to discuss defense strategies. Commander Lisa Wright, now promoted to Admiral, represented Earth. "The Hive targets what they call soft worlds," explained the Defense Minister, "planets unprepared for conflict." "How many ships can we gather?" asked a representative from Proxima. "Not enough," admitted the minister. "Most Confederacy species have been at peace for centuries. We have forgotten how to fight." Admiral Wright stood up. All eyes turned to her. "Earth has not forgotten," she said clearly. "Humans have fought wars throughout our history. We can help train your forces." The council chamber grew quiet. Then Ambassador Valine spoke. "The humans are right. The Space Orcs know warfare like no other species in the Confederacy." Within days, Colonel Ben Martinez was assigned to lead the new defense initiative. Ben had 20 years of military experience on Earth. Now he had to teach those skills to aliens who had never seen combat. Ben set up training camps on 5 worlds. He used Earth's military history as a guide. From ancient Roman shield formations to modern combat tactics, he adapted everything for different alien body types and abilities. Some species were naturally strong but slow. Others were fast but fragile. Ben created mixed units that used each species' strengths. In human history, he explained to his officers, we learned that victory often goes not to the strongest, but to the most adaptable. The Hive Collective attacked the Epsilon system next. They expected an easy victory against the peaceful worlds there. Instead, they found forces trained by humans, using tactics from thousands of years of Earth's conflicts. At Epsilon Ridge, a key defensive position, Ben's troops held their ground against waves of Hive attackers. The battle lasted 3 days. The defenders had no sleep, little food, and dwindling supplies. But they did not retreat. "Hold the line," Ben shouted as another wave approached. "Remember your training." Aliens who had never fought before stood shoulder to shoulder with human soldiers. They used Earth tactics adapted to their own bodies and abilities. A species with 4 arms operated multiple weapons at once. Floating aliens served as lookouts above the battlefield. When the battle reached its 3rd day, Ben's troops were exhausted. Many were wounded. But when the next wave of Hive attackers climbed the ridge, they found the defenders singing. The humans had taught their alien comrades Earth battle songs. The strange mix of voices, some high and musical, others deep and rumbling, echoed across the battlefield. The defenders sang while treating wounds that would have killed other species. When reinforcements finally arrived, they found the ridge still held by Ben's forces. The Hive attackers had retreated, sending a message back to their queens. The Space Orcs cannot be broken. After the Battle of Epsilon Ridge, stories spread throughout the Confederacy. Aliens spoke of human endurance with awe. They described how Colonel Martinez went 3 days without sleep, how human medics treated their own serious wounds and returned to fight, how humans taught ancient battle techniques from their homeworld's history. In the Confederacy Council, Admiral Wright presented Colonel Martinez with the highest military honor. The medal showed a tusked human skull, the symbol that had once been an insult but was now worn proudly on military uniforms throughout the galaxy. The Space Orcs have taught us something valuable. said the Confederacy president during the ceremony. Not just how to fight, but why to fight, to protect others. As Ben accepted the medal, he saw something new in the eyes of the alien representatives. Not fear of human violence, but respect for human protection. The galaxy was learning that the same capacity for warfare that made humans dangerous also made them the best defenders. They still call us Space Orcs, Ben told his troops later. And now they're glad we're on their side. The war with the Hive Collective entered its second year. Thanks to human military training, the Galactic Confederacy was holding its ground. But a new crisis emerged, one that had nothing to do with enemies. On the planet New Geneva, home to over 20 million aliens and a major manufacturing center, an accident occurred at the primary power facility. 3 fusion reactors were damaged in an earthquake, leaking radiation and deadly chemicals. The planet's leaders sent an urgent message to the Confederacy. They needed help containing the disaster before it spread to populated areas. This is beyond our capabilities, explained the Confederacy's safety director. The radiation levels near the reactors are too high for any of our species to approach. We would need to build special robots, but that will take months. Admiral Lisa Wright, attending the emergency meeting, spoke up. Humans can help. We can withstand those radiation levels long enough to make repairs. You would send people into those conditions? Asked an alien representative, shocked. We've done it before on Earth, Lisa replied. We have experts in handling these situations. Engineer Olivia Grant was chosen to lead the response team. She had experience with nuclear systems on Earth and had helped design several power plants in the Confederacy. When Olivia and her team of 30 human engineers arrived on New Geneva, local officials greeted them with concern. The inner containment areas register radiation that would kill most species within minutes, warned the facility director. We have prepared robotic systems, but they lack the precision needed. Olivia reviewed the data. The levels are high but manageable for humans with proper protection. We can work in shifts of 15 minutes each. That should be safe. The aliens watched in amazement as the humans put on radiation suits and entered areas their sensors labeled as certain death. The humans worked methodically, making repairs that required both strength and fine motor skills, something robots couldn't manage. Olivia discovered something alarming during her first inspection. These safety systems were never properly calibrated, she told her team. The material shielding is half as thick as it should be. As they worked deeper in the facility, they found more problems. The cooling systems had design flaws. The backup generators were outdated. Many safety features existed only on paper, never actually installed. How did no one notice this? Olivia asked the facility manager. He looked embarrassed. No one could physically inspect these areas. We relied on remote sensors and automated reports. Olivia realized the problem extended beyond New Geneva. If this facility had such serious issues, others might too. She contacted Admiral Wright with her concerns. We need to check every major power facility in the Confederacy, she explained. Many of these plants were designed with the assumption that no one would ever need to enter certain areas. But that means no one ever verified the safety systems work properly. Over the next 3 months, human inspection teams visited 30 major facilities across the Confederacy. They discovered critical safety issues at 22 of them. In some cases, radiation had been leaking at low levels for years, undetected because no one could physically check. At New Geneva, Olivia's team not only repaired the damaged reactors, but redesigned key systems to be safer and more efficient. They trained local engineers to use protective equipment that would allow limited access to high radiation areas for essential maintenance. When the crisis ended, the Confederacy Council called a special session. They created new safety standards based on human recommendations. For the first time, they acknowledged that relying solely on remote monitoring had created dangerous blind spots. We assumed our technology was perfect, said one council member. The humans showed us it is not. The term human inspection became standard practice across the galaxy. Facilities were redesigned to allow for physical access, even if such access would only ever be needed by humans. Olivia received the highest civilian honor from the Confederacy. The award citation read, "For teaching us that what we considered impossible was merely difficult, and what we feared was often simply unknown." The galaxy had learned another lesson about their space orcs. Humans didn't just survive harsh conditions, they thrived by confronting them directly.